The fact is, it doesn't really matter that he had a bunch of affairs and he was, screwing prostitutes in his last hours. The myth of MLK is more powerful than anything we could throw at him. When that myth is, its time has come. It's part of the zeitgeist, and so we need to think about this. We need our own MLK. We need our own symbol, and we need our own leaders who are willing to stand for their people.
Yeah, this came up because on April 4th, we did the typical joking about the U2 song, and then joking about that time when that group accidentally gave James Earl Jones a plaque dedicated to James Earl Ray, and I don't think it was really an accident. I think somebody was playing tricks, but and it was funny, and so we started talking about James Earl Ray, and I was like, I think he made a huge mistake in killing MLK. He gave them the martyr, and then I was like, imagine what would have happened if MLK had not been shot. We wouldn't have MLK Day. We wouldn't have every child in the country that goes to school educated in this myth of the black man and equality and racism and all this shit. He would have lived, and had he lived to his a natural death, he would have ultimately been exposed for his philandering or his corruption. He just like Jesse Jackson, ultimately became totally a joke because of all his corruption. This is MLK was of exactly the same character. And so worse. He needed to have been shot, possibly worse. Yeah. He needed to have been shot to make him a legend. Yeah. And that's what James Earl Ray did when he shot
anybody killed in the prime of their shit. I wouldn't just say life, in the prime of whatever it is that's getting them the huge momentum in life. They're going to be legends for at least the next 100 years. That's why Kurt Cobain is going to be a legend for a while longer.
Really? Is he a big legend? I mean, maybe.
The music scene, of course. Of course.
Oh, Kurt Cobain.
It's strictly just because he shot himself in the prime of his career.
Yeah. So in a way, by killing Martin Luther King, James Earl Ray gave them everything they needed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I hate to say this, but I mean, because I am. Needless to say, I'm not suggesting that anyone do this. Actually, I'm suggesting they don't do this. And if I ever learned that someone wanted to do this, I would try to stop them. But imagine Obama. I mean, he would certainly be worth more to the system dead than alive.
Absolutely.
I mean, I really hate talking about this.
But at this point,
what would happen if that happened to Obama? Eventually, the conservatives would claim him to be one of theirs. Obama never would have went along with this. He never would have went along with this if he was still alive today.
Oh, exactly. He would become a legend, and he'd become more than a man. And I think as it is now, he's kind of like a big.
What if they do it? What if they do it to Trump? What happens to Trump? Remember, that was actually brought up. I hate.
Do you want me to go, or do you want to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just go.
Well, I mean, look, I hate talking about this because, first off, I really do like the man Trump. I was not really a fan until this past year, but there's just I think he's doing so much good, and I admire him despite his kind of ridiculous, antics at time. I do not want this to happen. I don't think he would become a legend, but I think it would actually reveal a tremendous amount about society. Because when you talk to a baby boomer or older, and they'll tell you where they were when Kennedy was shot, and these might be Republicans, these might be people who didn't vote for Kennedy or hated him, but Kennedy is the ultimate example of becoming a martyr, and all the bad parts are kind of forgotten and all the good parts are accentuated. I think with Trump it might be very different, because what we would see if this terrible thing occurred and Trump were assassinated. We would see people coming out of the woodwork just hooting and hollering and celebrating.
It's true.
This is the great. It would reveal the fault lines of society, and it would also reveal the hatred of society. I mean, I think, as Sam Dixon has mentioned many times, I mean, America. It was once a nation, then it became a mass of people. Now it's like an economy. And people are just united through money and through the fact that we're all kind of in this together, getting a quick buck off each other. I think an assassination of Trump, which I'm saying this every time, so no one records this, and whatever,
I know.
Which I oppose.
So NSA, no bully. We're not.
Exactly. This would be awful. I think Trump is doing a wonderful job, and I truly do admire him. If this happened, it would reveal the hatred at the very core of American society, because we do ultimately hate each other, and it would be, I think, one of the most awful things to ever witness, but I think it would be the most revealing. You would have people hooting and hollering and screaming and shouting for joy, and the
media would barely be able to contain themselves.
Yeah, they would barely be able to contain it. They would apologize for it, like Trump brought this on himself. I mean, it would be a shit show, for lack of a better word, and it would show like how far we've come. Whereas a presidential assassination of yesteryear, we would all be, oh, this great man, this has brought us all together as a nation, kind of thing.
What if, like, in like thinking about a similarly reviled figure, like say like Nixon got shot? I mean, I remember when Nixon did die, the coverage was still respectful of him.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that every person that was doing the coverage probably hated his guts. Or considered him a symbol of something that they hated. So it does show it. I mean, it is true. Like, the martyrs are always, of course, on their side. It's always on the left side, right? Like, in order to be a hero or a martyr. And if it's somebody on our side, like if Trump got killed, it would be, the narrative would quickly, the guy would go to jail, assuming he got caught, and that, but he wouldn't be considered a villain. He'd be considered a hero. I mean, like this guy that did rush him on this. I mean, these thoughts started entering my head when this guy rushed him at that stage in Dayton, and then he's on CNN the next day. He didn't even. He should have been in.
The media is treating him like a really good guy. I wouldn't say they're treating him like a hero, but they're treating him like a good guy.
Yeah. And like the fact that
what made you do that?
Yeah, what when did you decide you finally had enough and you had to do something?